There's been a lot of Gen X videos lately, so I figure, why not do one myself? You got Gen Z, or whatever it's called, complaining about Gen X. Oh, Gen X thinks they're tough or whatever. You got some Gen X people claiming toughness and all that stuff, and talking about lawn darts, running the streets, and hose water, or whatever else you've heard. So I thought of something that actually sums it up, I think, what sums up the Gen X experience and why some of us turned out the way that we are better, and that's the game of rocks. See, the game of rocks was a game we played which was very simple. You found rocks and you threw them at each other and you tried not to get hit. And there was like an unofficial size limit, you just look and make sure that they weren't too big, wouldn't cause serious injury, but that was it. You threw rocks at each other. It was the game of rocks. And I thought maybe it was something we just played where I'd grown up, so I asked my wife, who grew up in an entirely different province, if the boys back home had played rocks. And she's like, well, yeah, of course they did. She knew what I was talking about. No explanation needed. She hadn't played rocks, but they sure did. So, got me thinking, and especially about when we stopped playing rocks. It's about the time of NES, Nintendo Entertainment System, the good old 8-bit thing that had Super Mario and all that, and the Sega Master System, another 8-bit system. Thing is, with Atari you could play Space Invaders, Pac-Man, or whatever other Atari game, get bored and go play rocks. Once it was Alex Kidd in Miracle World on Sega or Super Mario on Nintendo, they were way better than rocks, so we stopped doing that. We stopped chucking rocks at each other. And really it sums up a whole lot about Gen X, which was boredom and lack of supervision. So that thing about feral kids running the streets, yeah, that's true. There was a lot of that. But there was a lot of boredom too. Now, millennials and Gen Z, you probably think you've been bored, but you haven't been that bored. You never played rocks. If you haven't been bored enough to play rocks, you weren't that bored. I mean, you all grew up with much better video game systems than we could have dreamed of as kids. And Gen Z grew up with a cell phone right in their hand from birth, just about. I mean, you got the internet, you got movies and everything all on your phone. You can access all this shit. Who's got time for rocks? No, I mean, I'm out here walking around, there's a bunch of rocks. But that's the thing, like, I'm not even that bored these days. I'm not gonna go play rocks. I mean, maybe in the future there'll be some sort of apocalyptic event, takes down the internet and all the modern conveniences, and then people will go feral, and once again our children will play rocks. But until then, it's a uniquely Gen X experience, it seems, which I think sums up why we turned out the way we were. And it wasn't toughness, it wasn't all this other stuff, it was boredom and lack of supervision. And rocks basically sums all that up.